on the CareLink SmartSync MRI Access application. This video explores 4 alternative workflows on the CareLink SmartSync MRI Access application. First, you'll learn what to do if you experience difficulties reconnecting to the implanted device. Next, you'll learn the steps to take if a patient experiences continued discomfort after MRI SureScan mode is turned on. Third, you'll explore how to manage sessions with multiple patients on the MRI Access application. Last, you'll look at what to do when you get a Do Not Scan message on the MRI Access application. Reconnecting to the implanted device. If you have difficulty reconnecting to the implanted device, try the following troubleshooting steps. First, make sure the patient connector battery is at least 20% charged or plugged into a charger. Next, reposition the patient connector over the implanted device. Last, confirm the patient's name and implanted device serial number match the information on the tablet. Note if the patient connector disconnects, you must end the session, then reconnect to the patient connector and start the session again. Managing patients with continued discomfort. After SureScan mode is turned on, the patient may experience continued discomfort due to adjustments in their device settings. If this happens, do not proceed with the exam. Follow the appropriate actions to turn SureScan mode off. Your location in the MRI Access app workflow will determine how you turn SureScan mode off. Here are 4 workflow conditions for managing patients with discomfort and the actions to take for each. To turn SureScan off from the SureScan is on screen, tap Turn SureScan off. If you're in the Remove Patient Connector screen, tap the back button, then tap Turn SureScan off. If the patient's connector was removed, place it back over the patient's implanted device. If you're on the Patient Ready for MRI screen, tap MRI is complete. Then, place the patient connector over the patient's implanted device. Once the app establishes a connection with the implanted device, tap Turn SureScan off. If the patient session is ended for any reason, start a new session by selecting the checkbox and tapping Continue from the welcome screen. Next, place the patient connector over the patient's implanted device and single-click the gray button on the patient connector. The app will then detect that SureScan mode is turned on. From the connection screen, tap Turn SureScan off. Managing sessions with multiple patients. After you've prepared a patient for an MRI exam and turned SureScan mode on in the implanted device, you can use the MRI Access application to prepare another patient for an MRI exam. This example will walk you through how to manage more than one patient. For patient number 1, follow the MRI Access app workflow steps after entering a session and turning SureScan on, including checking the box to confirm that the patient is comfortable and willing to continue the scan. Then remove the patient connector from patient number 1 and tap Continue. Once patient number 1 is ready for the MRI exam and SureScan mode has been turned on, go to the menu in the upper right corner and tap End Session in order to start a new session with a second patient. You'll see a pop-up message asking you to confirm ending the session. Tap End Now. Note that ending the patient session does not change the status of SureScan mode in the implanted device. Ensure that the patient is continuously monitored while SureScan mode is turned on, even after the session is ended. You can now start a session with patient number 2. Place the patient connector over the second patient's implanted device. Then, follow the MRI Access app workflow steps to start a new patient session, to turn SureScan on, and to prepare patient number 2 for an MRI exam. After SureScan mode has been turned on for patient number 2, go to the menu in the upper right of the screen and tap End Session. When patient number 1's MRI exam is complete, place the patient connector over patient number 1's implanted device and single-click the button on the patient connector. The app will search and then connect to patient number 1's implanted device. When the app connects to patient number 1's implanted device, confirm the first patient's name and device serial number in the top left under the banner in the MRI Access app. The app will connect to patient number 1's device and detect that SureScan mode is already turned on and will ask you if the first patient's MRI exam is complete. If patient number 1's MRI exam is complete, tap Yes. Turn SureScan off. Then tap Complete to close the connection with patient number 1's implanted device. Once patient number 2's MRI exam is complete, follow the same steps to turn SureScan off. Troubleshooting Do Not Scan messages. If the app determines that SureScan mode cannot be turned on, it will list the reason on the Do Not Scan screen. Do not complete the MRI exam until the prescribed actions are taken. There are several cases when you should not proceed with the MRI exam. If you see any of the following app messages, then do not allow the patient to receive an MRI exam. The device settings at implant have not been marked as complete. Lead impedance exceeds limits or cannot be verified. One or more leads are currently configured for unipolar pacing. The implanted device has unexpectedly reset since the patient's last device check. The device is near replacement date. The device has invalid or incomplete information stored on it. Or, if the patient's heart rate exceeds 95 beats per minute and the implanted device has invalid information stored on it. When one of these app messages appears, you should notify the radiologist or physician who is supervising the MRI exam. If the patient's heart rate exceeds 120 beats per minute, it may mean that the patient is experiencing anxiety about the exam. You can try again after the patient has calmed. If the heart rate remains elevated, the patient cannot undergo the MRI exam. You should then notify the radiologist or physician who is supervising the MRI exam. If the patient is experiencing an arrhythmia that the device is currently treating or monitoring, then you should closely monitor the patient and notify the radiologist or physician who is supervising the MRI exam. This video covered 4 of the alternative workflows on the CareLink SmartSync MRI Access application: reconnecting to the implanted device, managing patients with continued discomfort, managing multiple patients, and troubleshooting do not scan messages. For additional information, please see the MRI Access Application User Guide available on Medtronic Academy. This concludes the video on managing alternative workflows on the CareLink SmartSync MRI Access application.